case they are asked to you in the actual examination. Alright, so we will begin. So there are mainly two reasons for the confusion overall. The first reason is the confusion in what type of essays that particular type or that particular task is difficult to understand because of the unfamiliar language that is used over there. Probably these are quite easy to guess or these are quite easy to pick. Even many students don't find these types or this particular way or reason to be that much of an issue, but still we will go through those particular reasons and particular tasks which have unfamiliar language and may confuse you as an example, and then we'll see how to approach those. Once you realize that actually the task is the same, you will also realize that the same methodologies or techniques or strategies are applicable in such tasks as well. The second reason, which makes overall essay task confusing, is the mixed instructions that are there. What kind of mixed instructions? We will look into them one by one, and we will also discuss how to brainstorm in these cases and what changes, probably very slight changes, you need to make to your essay writing to tackle with such tasks. Alright, so let's begin with the tasks. So I'm going to show you different tasks, 6 different tasks to you. You need to guess the type of the task for that particular essay. Alright, this is task 1. News stories on TV and in newspapers are very often accompanied by pictures. Some people say that these pictures are more effective than words. What is your opinion about this? Guys, can you tell me what kind of essay task is this? Some of you have said opinion based essays, which is correct, but which opinion based? How can you can we take it as one opinion based, two opinion based? This can be treated as simply one opinion based essays. Understand? If you just ask this question, what is your opinion about this? You may talk a lot about overall topic, the fact that should pictures be there on TV or in newspapers, or they should not be there, and how are they effective or how ineffective, or it depends on different things. If we have to write this particular essay in the minimum amount of time with minimum fuss, we can always treat these tasks as one opinion based essays, and we can always get away with it. Alright, now can I ask you what should be the boundaries over here? Effective than pictures, absolutely, or simply pictures are not more effective than words. Alright, so which means very similar to what you have said. Absolutely. So boundary 1 has to be the pictures are very effective compared to words. Boundary 2 can be pictures are not that effective or words are more effective than the pictures. Now how do you get to that? Because we clearly see that this is the opinion of some people. Many people or many students might be confused by this particular statement. Pay attention to what is exactly the opinion. The opinion is given by some people and they say that pictures are more effective than the words. In which context this sentence is not completely useless. This is true in the context when you are watching news either on TV, or you are watching news stories either on TV or in newspapers, or both. Alright, only in this context, not in any other context. So when you are writing the essay, ensure that you treat this as one opinion based essay in which you say that either the pictures are more effective than the words, or pictures are not very effective than the words, or words are more effective, only when somebody is reading or reporting news story on TV or in newspapers. Right. Let's go to the next task. Some people believe that at a workplace nowadays too much importance is given to looks of an employee. To what extent do you agree or disagree? What is the type of the task, guys? You can speak, you can write, whatever you want to do. It is one opinion based essay, absolutely. It is one opinion based essay. Anyone else? Okay, that's correct. One opinion based essay. Now, the major problem does not come when you have to, or let me rephrase, the major problem is not encountered when students read this task. Most of you can actually get that, okay, this is one opinion based essay, and most of you would say, oh, why is this confusing? The problem is this part, too much importance. What do you mean by too much? See, whenever you have too much or too many, it is a negative thing. Understand? Some people believe that at a workplace nowadays, too much importance is given to looks of an employee. That means it's a negative thing that people give too much of importance to the looks of the employee, and probably they should not do that. That is the opinion of some people. In simple words, the task, this particular sentence, the topic can be written as: some people believe that looks of an employee don't matter. Probably a negative way of saying this: too much importance is given. That means this much of importance rather should not be given to the looks of an employee. Do you agree or disagree? So the boundaries could be: yes, too much of importance is given. That means, in brackets you can say, it means actually that employers should not bother about the looks of an employee. That would be your boundary 1. Understand? Okay, let me type it so that it will be more clear for most of you. Boundary 1 in this case can be found out if I ask myself, what if I agree? What will I write about? I will write about that yes, too much importance is given to looks. That means, in turn, it means that employers should not bother about the looks of an employee. Alright? And boundary 2. What is it? What if, you need to ask this question, what if I disagree? The answer to this question is no, looks are important criteria while choosing employees. Alright, so I hope you are getting this part. How did we arrive at these conclusions? If not, please ask me. Now, this is one opinion based essay and you should treat it like that. Task 3. In recent years, many small local shops have closed because customers travel to large shopping mall centers or malls to do their shopping. Is this a positive development or a negative development? What kind of task is this? It is opinion based. Why do I say that? And specifically one opinion based. You are asked, is this positive or negative? That means you must say, okay, I think this particular development is positive. Or you could say, no, this particular development is negative. Now, since you have to choose between the two, okay, since you have to favor a particular side, this particular essay task is one opinion based essay. Does everyone agree? I guess Sandeep, you thought that this is discussion based essay, right? You got it now? Okay. Alright. Okay. So this is the typical task that many people might misinterpret. Alright. We will now get into the rest of the three tasks. Alright. Task 4. Today, learning English is more important than learning other languages. As a result, the local languages are dying. Why do you think this is the case? Is this positive or okay? Is this a positive or a negative development? What type of task is that? What type of essay task is this? If you see this, if you look at this task specifically, you will realize that this particular discussion, this particular instructions is something like what we see in discussion based essay. It asks you, why do you think this is the case? It asks you the reason for the a phenomena which is explained in the topic statement. What is that? People are learning English and they are giving importance to English, and as a result the local languages are dying, right? So why do you think this is the case? It is asking the reasons why do people pay so much of importance to English that the local languages are dying. So this seems like a discussion based essay. And the second instruction is this a positive or a negative development? Now over here, this is, we have just seen, this seems like an opinion based essay. In a way, this can be treated as a hybrid essay. Now Chaya, if you want to treat this as a discussion based essay, you can treat it as discussion based essay as well. You can say that these are the causes and these are the consequences. Okay, so consequences, when you say consequences, this becomes, you can either give positive consequence or you can give negative consequences, but don't give both of them if you want to treat it as discussion based essay. But today we will look into it, and we will look into it how to treat them as hybrid essay or the mixed essay, so that in extreme case still you will be able to handle such types of tasks, because IELTS is coming up with not only this variation but there are other variations in these tasks as well. All right, look at this one. Solar energy is becoming more and more popular as a source of household energy in many countries around the world. Why is this? What are the advantages and disadvantages of solar energy? Okay, what is the type of this task? Yes, this is again, there are, this is discussion based essay, both are two different things, but overall it's a discussion based essay. Instructions that you see or the instructions that you see in this task are very similar to what you see in discussion based essays, but it is asking you three things: reasons, advantages and disadvantages. So we will treat this as well as a hybrid essay or the mixed essay. Alright, and task 6. Some people think that having a set retirement age for everybody, regardless of our occupations, is unfair. They believe that certain workers deserve to retire and receive a pension at an earlier age. Do you agree or disagree? Which types of workers do you think should benefit from early retirements? Okay. Alright, what type of essay is this? Again, this is a mixed or the hybrid essay. Why? Because this do you agree or disagree, this is a typical instruction for an opinion based essay. At the same time, the next instruction is asking which types of workers do you think should benefit from early retirements. This is a typical discussion based essay instruction, you could say, or you could simply say that okay, it is asking you to discuss what are the examples for people who should benefit from early retirements. This can also be treated as hybrid or mixed essay. Now if you look at one major difference between task 4 and task 6, it is that in this hybrid or mixed essay, the instruction, which is very similar to what you will see in discussion based essay, is the first one, and the second instruction is very similar to what you will see in the opinion based essay. If you come to task 6, the first instruction is very similar to what you will see in opinion based essay, and the second instruction is very similar to what you will see in discussion based essays. Okay, going forward. So how to approach these confusing essays with unfamiliar language? Okay. So simply treat them according to their regular types of essays. If you remember, the confusing, language or unfamiliar language was specifically in task 1, where it is very similar to one opinion based essay. Task 2, which is also very similar to one opinion based essay, and task 3, which is also very similar to one opinion based essay. So you see, most of the people are confused when IELTS changes the language in the task when it is actually a one opinion based essay. But don't blindly follow this part. You need to evaluate every time what is exactly essay asking you to do. Alright, so if there is a confusing language, just as we have seen in first 3 tasks, use the regular method of writing the essay. Now, I am going to discuss now how to approach essays with the mixed instructions. Okay. So task 4. Today, learning English is more important than learning other languages. As a result, the local languages are dying. Why do you think this is the case? Is this a positive or a negative development? Now, okay, how will you brainstorm? Let's look into this one. So instead of 2 boundaries, think about 3 boundaries. Think that this particular task has not only 2 boundaries but 3 boundaries. What does that mean to you? It means that probably 1 boundary is like discussion based essay and 2 boundaries are like opinion based essays, or whatever the case, we need to actually evaluate based on the case. Alright, so boundary 1 is taken. Okay, I can use this part that boundary 1 is taken from this particular instruction, part of instruction 1. Why do you think this is the case? Whereas from the second part of the instruction, that is this a positive or negative development, we take these 2 boundaries. Alright, so if we look at this particular essay, we say that okay, from the first part, why do you think this is the case? Where it is asking me just a reason, I put boundary 1 as reasons for teaching English even when local languages are dying. Boundary 2 is taken from the second part of the instruction. Is this a positive or a negative development? Yes, I can say, this is a positive development if we teach English even when local languages are dying. And this is a negative development, and boundary 3 is negative development if we teach English even when local languages are dying. So in a way, do you remember how can we find the focus? The focus is what is common between the all boundaries. Here as well, what is common? Teaching English even when local languages are dying is common, and hence that is our focus. So your brainstorming table would look something like this. B1 is the reason, B2 you say positive development, B3 you say negative development, and the focus is teaching English to all when local languages are dying. Now we remember that we need to have one supporting point for point 1 for each boundary. You remember that part? So you need to write just one reason over there. That is more than enough. Then B2 is positive development. Write just one supporting point. and B3 is negative development, right? Just one supporting point for it. We have got 3 points. We don't have the actual winning side right away. Okay, and we have seen to write 250 words, in an essay, we need actually 4 points. So don't bother yourself with writing the second reason over here. One very well explained reason is also more than enough. Similarly, one supporting point for positive development, one supporting point for negative development is given. But we need the 4th point so that we can write about this particular and we can justify our side. We can take one side. So what can we do? Can anybody suggest me what can I do in such cases? Exactly. That means we need to give a counterpoint, right? Absolutely. So let's say if you are giving counterpoint, we are giving counterpoint for negative development, whatever point that you have written over here, in support of negative development, that you say, okay, this is negative development. If you write a counterpoint for this, this becomes your losing side because you are taking away the credit of this point, and this becomes your winning side. Now many people are thinking, oh, there is only one supporting point for winning side. How can that be the winning side, or how can that be my opinion? It's all right. See, in this case, whatever supporting point that you are writing, you are cancelling the effect of it using the counterpoint. So total now you have 4 points in your essay. You can always write sufficient number of words using this approach. But then how would the structure look like? Okay, now before moving to the structure, it could also happen that you get a counterpoint for this particular point. You try to cancel the effect of this particular supporting point which supports why it is a positive development. So if you have counterpoint for this supporting point, this becomes your losing side and this becomes your winning side. Only in this mixed essays which have a tinge of opinion based essay, you may do this. Understand this part. In your regular opinion based essays, do not do this. In your regular opinion based essays, you must have 2 supporting points for your winning side and 1 supporting point and counterpoint for your losing side. Are there any difficulties, guys, till this point of time? So how to write this essay? You should have 5 paragraphs instead of just 4. And you should have 3 body paragraphs instead of just 2. And what to write in these? Introduction, as usual you can write. How do we write introduction? By taking the focus, asking about the past and the present, and then thinking about the boundaries, and you can write the introduction over here. Alright, then you may write body paragraph 1. In body paragraph 1, you will write just 1 point about the reason. Alright, don't worry, even if you don't write the second reason, you need not worry about that. You are asked just reasons and you have written that, so no need to write any further. In body paragraph 2, you may write about positive development and 1 point plus counterpoint if applicable. That means if you have got counterpoint for positive development, write it over there, or if you have got counterpoint for negative development, write it over there, and then you write the end paragraph as usual. That means you need to summarize, but you also need to give your opinion because it is asked whether this is a negative development or a positive development. Is this clear, everyone?
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah, please. Very good question. So you should follow the same sequence. That means, okay, let me put the in a way that, okay, body paragraph 2 can be also dedicated to the winning side, and body paragraph 3 can be dedicated to losing side. In that case, I don't know which one is positive development, which one is negative, it's up to you. And then this becomes one supporting point. You won't have counterpoint for the winning side, because if you counter the supporting point, it's of no use. And in that case, your losing side must have one point or one supporting point and the counterpoint for sure. So this becomes your structure of the essay. Alright, I put positive and negative because again people should not be confused, but this should be the structure of the essay. Is that clear? Okay, you should definitely summarize the reason as well, for sure. Very good doubt. See, overall you can give overall 2 examples. Understand, you will never give an example for this supporting point because this is the losing side. You can always give one example for counterpoint. Now as far as this is concerned, these 2 body paragraphs are concerned, you give a reason for example for either this or for this. It is not necessary that you give 3 examples over here. The only reason I'm saying that you should not give three examples for 3 body paragraphs is the fact that thinking about 3 examples would take unnecessary time. So in order to save that time of thinking and of writing those examples as well, I'm saying that 2 examples overall are enough. So let's look at task 5. Solar energy is becoming more and more popular as a source of household energy in many countries around the world. Why is this? What are the advantages and disadvantages of solar energy? Here as well, you can think about 3 boundaries instead of just 2 boundaries. You can give reason. The boundary 1 could be reason for using solar energy for household purpose. Boundary 2 could be advantages of using solar energy for household purpose. Boundary 3 could be disadvantages of using solar energy for household purpose. Now similarly, you can put your focus over here, because using solar energy for household purpose is common. We may say that is the focus. That part of the topic is the focus. Boundaries are 3. The first one is reason, the second one is advantages, the third one is disadvantages. In this case, you may write 1 point for the reason, 1 point for advantage, and 1 point for the disadvantage. Now, as far as point 2 is concerned, or the 4th point in the essay is concerned, you may give 2 reasons, 2 advantages, or 2 disadvantages. Okay, it depends on you where to add this 4th point. You can give 2 reasons, 1 advantage, 1 disadvantage, or 1 reason, 2 advantages, 1 disadvantage, or 1 reason, 1 disadvantage, and 2 disadvantages as well. It depends on you how you look at it, and you need to write accordingly. Is that clear? There is no winning side or losing side because the task doesn't ask you that. It just asks you the reasons and the advantages and disadvantages of using solar energy. How to write this essay? Introduction as usual. There is no change. So the only change is, instead of having 2 body paragraphs, there would be 3 body paragraphs. The first one would be for the reasons, second one would be for advantages, and the third one would be for disadvantages. End paragraph would be as usual where you write in a summary. Alright. Next, some people think that having a set retirement age for everybody, regardless of occupations, is unfair. They believe that certain workers deserve to retire and receive a pension at an earlier age, Do you agree or disagree? Which types of workers do you think should benefit from early retirements? This can also be treated in very similar way. You can treat, using this particular instruction, you can treat this sample as opinion based essay, and you can think about those particular two boundaries. And the third boundary could be the examples of workers who deserve to retire early. Alright, so when you're giving examples, develop these examples like your regular pointer, like ask what, how, and what if it happens. Don't just give examples the way you give otherwise, examples from your experience or anything like that. We are going to take this particular sample very soon, so be ready for that as well. All right. So the boundary one is, after reading this whole task, boundary one could be, yes, certain workers deserve to retire early and receive a pension at an earlier age. Boundary 2 could be, no, certain workers do not deserve to retire early and receive pension at an early age, which actually means everyone should retire at the same age. Alright, and then boundary 3 could be examples of workers who deserve to retire early. Alright, so you can put the same, you can put everything the same way. Like boundary 1, yes, they deserve, nobody deserves to retire early and have pension. And boundary 3 could be examples of some who should retire early. One supporting point over here. All right, and then you can think about, at least to begin with, you can think about these 3 points. But if you look at this particular task once again, if you look at this task, you will realize a very simple thing which is hidden overall, and that is, you are asked the examples of workers you think should benefit from early retirement. That means, in a way, the IELTS expects you to write that some people should retire earlier than expected. Alright, so in a way, the second boundary, boundary 2 that we have over here, that nobody deserves to retire early and receive pension at an early age, or in other words, everyone should retire at the same age, this boundary must lose, because if you prove that everyone should retire at the same age, then there is no point in giving examples, right? But IELTS is specifically asking you the examples. That means, in a way, understand, you must have the boundary 1 as the winning side and boundary 2 as the losing side. Since this is the losing side, you must provide the counterpoint. Remember, if you think that this is the winning side, this example then does not mean much. But since they have specifically asked you to give the example, the boundary 1, that yes, some people deserve to retire early and receive a pension at an earlier age, this boundary 1 should win. Any questions till this point? How to write the essay? Introduction as usual you should write. Then you should have body paragraph 1. Which is nothing but your winning side. Yes, certain workers deserve to retire early and receive pension at an earlier age. You have 1 point for this. And immediately after this, you can write the example, which is in fact our boundary 3. Why? Because you are giving an example for this particular thing. Now many people ask, oh, if this is the example, can I write as second point in body paragraph 1 itself? Yes, you can write that. That doesn't changes much. But since we are talking about these hybrid or mixed essays, I have tried to maintain the same methodology over here as well. Regularly, I don't encourage you to write example in a separate paragraph, but over here IELTS has asked you which particular professions deserve this, so that's why you may understand, write an example only for this particular task. For other tasks, you must write example together in the body paragraph immediately after the point. And here, if you want to write these two together, definitely you should do that. Then you would write next body paragraph, which says that no certain workers do not deserve to retire early and receive pension at an early age. Obviously, there is one point which supports it, and there should be a counterpoint. Again, in paragraph as usual, you should summarize all these three things and then write an opinion as well. Is that understood?
What should be the boundaries?
Advantages and disadvantages. But you approach it like an opinion-based essay.
That means
Any other question? Ronald, you were saying something. Okay, can you please again discuss task 4 and 6? Okay. Do you have any specific thing that you did not understand, Ronald? Or let's say I'll try to revise what we have learned. We have learned that there could be typical some tasks which would have mixed boundaries or mixed instructions. This is the topic statement which tells or puts some subject of discussion, and then this is the instruction 1, which seems very similar, but then it's kind of mixed. Why it is mixed? Because it has some elements of discussion based essays and some elements of opinion based essays. The element of discussion based essay is why do you think this is the case, which asks you what is the reason that people give a lot of importance to English and they give so much of importance that the local languages are dying. The second part of the instruction 1 is this positive or negative development. Now, when you look at this particular task, it's very clear that the first part of instruction 1 is very similar to discussion based essay. Second part of the instruction 1 is similar to opinion based essay. So from this part of the instruction 1, why do you think this is the case? We choose boundary 1, which is reasons for teaching English even when local languages are dying. For the second part of the instruction 1, which seems like an opinion based essay, we decide we will treat this as opinion based essay only. So we don't care about how many boundaries do we have. We only care about the fact that from this instruction I am getting these 3 boundaries, and if I am getting these 3 boundaries after analyzing these instruction 1 very well, I am going to go ahead and write these 3. Alright, so I just ensure that my boundaries are written similarly in the actual brainstorming table as well. Now, just to add on this part, okay, if you want to ask questions in this particular case, you should ask what, how, and what if it happens to find the reasons. Why? Because the reason is taken from the part of the instruction which is similar to discussion based essay, and when it comes to part of the instruction which is similar to opinion based essay, you can always ask the questions why, how, and what if it happens. Alright, so these same questions would go for these boundaries as well. I mean these 2 boundaries over here. I hope you have understood this part. Now we have to choose whether this is a positive development or a negative development. So we put one counterpoint for whichever side we think is losing, or for whichever side you get a very counterpoint very easily. I don't really care which is winning or which is losing. I just care that I get one counterpoint somehow. So sometimes it could be for negative development, sometimes it could be for positive development. Whatever happens, I just go ahead with it. At the end of the day, I know that to write 250 words, I need to have 4 points total. When it comes to examples, I can give an example for counterpoint always. Never give an example for supporting point of a losing side. I give, and the second example I can either give for the winning side or I can give for the reasons, whatever comes to my mind at that particular point of time. Any questions on this particular task 4? I'm sorry. Any questions on this particular task 4? Got it? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, just to revise task 6, we do very similar thing over here as well. See, again, if I have to, explain this part, from the opinion based part, we are inspired to find the two boundaries, and from the discussion part, we are inspired to find the one boundary, which is actually the instruction is referring to. Alright, if I agree with this particular statement, I would say yes, certain workers deserve to retire early and receive a pension at an earlier age. If I disagree, I would say no, certain workers do not deserve to retire early and receive pension at an earlier age. Everyone should retire at the same age. And from this one, I say examples for workers who deserve to retire early. Okay? Yeah, and similar cases were here as well. Alright, so but in this case you should be able to see that since they are asking example for who should retire early, most probably writing this as winning side will help you a lot. Okay, I hope the things are clear to everyone.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Alright. Alright, so should we stop over here, or are there any other doubts as well? Alright.
Get meaning of this using essay with the big side opinion.
Two opinion based essay, you mean?
Yes, sir.
See, now the thing is, I'll tell you 6 months before, I mean, ILTS actually did not use these types in the actual tests. These were given here and there in Cambridge, but at least last in 5-6 years they never gave those essays. These essays they are giving nowadays. It's not very frequent, but still they are there. So that's the reason I tried to cover. Very frankly, I have not come across any mixed essay which has two opinion based essay in it. But nonetheless, even if it comes, you can still follow the same logic. Even if it is two opinion based essay, you will always realize that there are two boundaries from this part of instruction 1, and there would be one boundary from discussion based essay. Alright, so there would again be 3 boundaries in total. I mean, that's something that you can always think about. It depends on what is given to you, but you can, I think they won't give more than 4 boundaries. That would be utter nonsense. But boundary 3 boundaries could be there, at least. I have to say that looking at some recent papers. But I'll tell you, more than 90-95% of the times you will get exactly 2 boundaries. This is like really rare thing what we have discussed.